Uninformed immigrants are at a huge disadvantage in court, in financial and legal matters, and also sometimes in life. Well, what can we do about it? I'll tell you what. We can train, teach, inspire, and empower immigrants to maximize their lives regardless of their immigration status. And that's exactly what we're going to do here. I am your immigration lawyer and host, Otis Landerholm, and this is the Empowered Immigrant Podcast. All right, hello and welcome. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for being here with me. I'm Otis Landerholm, and welcome to another episode of the Empowered Immigrant Podcast. Here on the Empowered Immigrant, we are here to train, to teach, to inspire, and to empower immigrants to maximize their lives regardless of their immigration status. And today I want to talk about maybe, something that's like timely in the news, happening right now, and it's also just flat out tragic. All right. And we've had several calls. Several consultations this week. And what I'm talking about is the situation in Afghanistan. All right. I don't know if you listening to me right now are from Afghanistan or not. Chances are maybe not. All right. But it's still important that you know and you understand what our Afghani friends, brothers and sisters, people are going through right now, because it is horrible. Okay. So as you are probably aware, after listening to the news, the Taliban took back control of the country of Afghanistan as the U.S. Exited the country. And so what does that mean? That we've had consultations this week. We've had people coming in calling, hey, I've got a visa approved to enter the United States and I'm in Afghanistan. How do I get to the U.S.? Or, hey, I'm a green card holder, right? I'm a lawful permanent resident of the United States, but I'm in Afghanistan. How do I get to the U.S.? Or, hey, I'm a U.S. citizen. Like, I went through the immigration process and I was just visiting family or whatever back in Afghanistan. Now I'm trying to get out. How can I get out? Well, yesterday, the 30th of August, was the last of the evacuation flights. And so if you were, and it was a horrible mess to try and get to the airport. I was on several calls with colleagues who are, monitoring what's going on. It's like people would come with a U.S. passport or people would come with a U.S. green card on their way to get to the airport, and they'd get beaten, right? They'd get brutally beaten, bloody, right? And trying to get to a flight that they were eligible to get to. But the Taliban, right, does not grant people access to the airport. And there's curfews and there's checkpoints and you've got to show documents and people will question you. And it's like, what are you doing here? And, oh, you're an American sympathizer. Well, let's rip up those papers. Let's beat you up because you're going to be against the Taliban and stuff like that. I mean, it's just a horrible situation. Also, what it means is if you're here in the United States and if you're originally from Afghanistan, you will very likely now have an asylum case. You may have already won your process in some other way, but if you don't have status and if you're from Afghanistan, I mean, this whole thing is a change in circumstances. You might be eligible to apply for asylum. Okay, but often the calls that we're getting are people, and yes, they break my heart. They're people who have family in Afghanistan. They're people that have loved ones, spouses in Afghanistan who are stuck and trying to get out, and they're not sure how to get out. And I wish that I could help them. All right, I wish that I could help them. And often my advice is, hey, the legal situation is a mess because legally they might have a passport. Legally, they might have a green card. Legally, they might have done everything right. but still it's going to be dangerous to get them out of there. And additionally, if they are going through a legal process, say they're applying for a visa, right? Say you filed a family-based petition for them, they're going through a legal process, but it hasn't been approved yet. Maybe they're waiting for their interview, right? Well, the US Embassy's closed. So that interview is not going to happen. And who knows when it'll reopen. Right now, there's not going to be diplomatic relationships, right, with Afghanistan. Who knows if they're going to start processing visas again for people from Afghanistan, which means that they might need to flee Afghanistan to a neighboring country in order to go to an interview, in order to get a visa, in order to enter the US. Horrible, nasty situation. All right. There's one thing that I do recommend for people that are in this situation, and that is to get involved politically. All right. The law and lawyers, in my opinion, are not what's going to help you here. The law and lawyers are not going to help you. What could help you are politicians, because politicians have the power to request. I mean, lawyers can too, if you know somebody in this situation, but politicians have the power to request parole for people, to ask for like a stamp to enter the US sooner than they otherwise would have been eligible to. And now you got to get a stamp and a passport, which that's not going to happen in Afghanistan. So you would have to go to a different country to get it. But I do, this is such a kind of tragic situation. I do recommend contacting your congressman and, go to Google and say, who is my congressman? And they'll ask, what your address is or what your zip code is. And you can figure out who your congressperson is, go to their website, contact them, send them information that, hey, you've got family in Afghanistan. This is their names. How can I get them out? If you put political pressure on that, in my opinion, that's going to be the way, or at least one of the strategies to give hope to your friends and family who are over there. Okay, horrible, nasty situation, and my heart goes out to you and to everyone that's in that situation. All of the, all of the people who were involved in fighting for and wanting a better, brighter future for Afghanistan, including better education, including better treatment of human rights and things like that. Everybody that was like pushing for that, my heart goes out to you, because in my opinion, it's not just my opinion, right? It's like the Taliban is pretty harsh on all of that, on all of those grounds. So anyway, that's all I got to say for today. If you're from Afghanistan, my heart goes out to you. And if you're not from Afghanistan, hey, be with me to send love to the Afghanistan situation, because people over there are human beings and we've got to respect them as such. And, we were fighting a war over there, and I'm not going to get into that because, post 9/11 and, should we have even gotten into it? And, I don't know, I'm not going to go into that. All I know is that the situation right now is scary for a lot of people. And there is going to be asylum cases, and there's going to be, mass, how would I say it? Just human issues, right? Mass fleeing of homes, mass scared, not sure if you feel comfortable even going out of the house, and a lot of persecution and potential persecution. That's it's a sad situation. Thank you all for listening to me today. I hope this was useful, informative, and helpful. And yeah, we'll see you on the next episode of the Empowered Immigrant Podcast. I'm your host, Otis Landerholm, the founding attorney here at Landerholm Immigration, A.P.C, where we fight for your American dream, and the host of the Empowered Immigrant Podcast. Thanks for listening. We'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye. Thank you for listening to the Empowered Immigrant Podcast. If you like what you heard and if you want to learn more, please go to landerholmimmigration.com/podcast.